What's going on, YouTube? It's Big Brother 749 come back at you with another video. I want to talk about this Brittany Griner situation. For those who don't know who that is, she's this 31-year-old black female WNBA basketball star who's been held by Russian authorities for drug charges at an airport. She was arrested a few months back, back in like February, after vape cartridges with cannabis oil was discovered in her luggage. And just recently, she pleaded guilty to drug charges, and her next court appearance is scheduled today, July 14th. And it's been said that she could be facing 10 years in prison if she's convicted. And things ain't looking too good for Miss Griner. It's gotten to where even the former governor of New Mexico, Bill Richardson, is traveling to Moscow to talk them into freeing Brittany Griner, which is part of what this video is about. And I'm just gonna talk about why I think Russia should just go on and just free Brittany Griner. And like I said, I know a lot of people probably wasn't too familiar with Brittany Griner before this occurred. She's been around for a while, and I wouldn't really call her a famous, well-known athlete like that. She's not well known, but she is known, and I'm aware that she plays for the WNBA professional basketball as a center for the Phoenix Mercury team, and has been traveling to play with the Russian Premier League in Russia during the WNBA offseason, and that she's also a lesbian as well. And I've been seeing footages of her off and on, on the news, being escorted by police, appearing in court, and it's obvious that she wants to look like a guy. She's already tall, like 6'9", which you don't see a lot of women who are 6'9". So it seemed like she didn't have any other choice but to play basketball. She's built like a dude. She has tattoos, and I heard she had surgical procedure where she had her breast removed, from what I heard. And there's audio where she has a deep voice where she sounds just like a dude, which sort of makes you forget that it's a woman when you hear her talk. And her voice sort of makes her appear more as a guy. And I've seen interviews of her wife, Cheryl Grinder, on the news, grieving. She's speaking out. And there's been news coverages of Brittany sending letters to President Joe Biden about her experiences, pleading, wanting to be heard. And it seems like she's became more well known for this case, more than her actually being a basketball star. And I noticed that this hasn't really been talked about that much by the LGBTQ movement. I'm noticing how the LGBTQ movement is not speaking up on this as much as they were with the Dave Chappelle situation and the parades that were going on. And by Brittany being a U.S. citizen, at first I thought she could have been falsely accused or set up or framed, and that Russia framed her, because I really wouldn't be surprised by Russians doing some shit like that. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. She pleaded guilty. So, and her defense was, she was saying she was Russian when she packed and didn't realize the cartridge was in her suitcase. It was by accident. And I don't know if she could have been making excuses because she's been there before and they probably didn't check good enough and just let it slide. Or maybe it was legal in her state, but she wasn't aware of Russia's laws, because like I said in videos past, a lot of people don't know that in Russia you could actually get a large amount of time, if not life in prison, for doing drugs. So it probably was unintentional. But regardless, that still doesn't take away the fact that she broke the law. It doesn't make things right. And though she could argue that in court, but it's still not promised that she won't be sentenced in a Russian prison. And I'm not going to lie, I do feel bad for her. Nobody wants to be separated from their family, their loved ones, and no one wants to be stuck in a foreign prison, especially a Russian prison. And she moved down there because of sexism and wage inequality, because she was complaining that she wasn't making enough money playing women's basketball here in the States. So she moved to this other country, Russia, because they paid more, which wasn't rational on her part, because she was basically putting that before her own personal survival, where her life would be at risk. And it was stupid that she didn't understand the risk factors, because she's going down there willing to navigate through Russia as a black lesbian, which was already 2 strikes against her. And she's, ended up making that 3rd strike by breaking the law. And with feminism and women who want to be men or live their lives the same as men, I'm not knocking it, but I think, they're only looking at the benefits of it. They're looking at the benefits of having the same rights as men and do the same things as men, but they're not aware of the reality that comes along with it. And Brittany Griner wanted to be seen as a guy, but now that she's in trouble, she wants to be seen as a woman. And that's the thing with her, and especially black people in general who's traveling to these foreign countries. They need to do their research on these laws of these other lands. And I think that, this is very crucial and important for black folks, especially because we're one of the most hated groups of all. If in not all places are that welcoming with us. And it also depends on when you travel too, because she was arrested in February, and I just thought that was crazy because she chose a bad time to carry drugs to a Russia airport. And I didn't get, why she and anyone else for that matter would want to travel to Russia anyway when it was plain and obvious that Putin was going to start a war with Ukraine. And I felt that the U.S. government should have discouraged folks from traveling to Russia because it was painfully obvious that Russia was about to go to war with Ukraine around that time. And like I said, she did a dumb thing, but at the same time, though, I wouldn't consider this a crime because no violence was involved, no other illegal substance was involved, no illegal weapons were involved. It was just a simple personal usage of marijuana possession that was only for her. Because what harm could she do with a vape cartridge with cannabis oil? It doesn't make you valid. It doesn't make you a threat. And a 10-year prison sentence for that does seem to be a bit too extreme. It takes a lot more than that to go to prison. Now, if she was trafficking it, especially a large amount of marijuana or selling it in known areas or known school areas or was a danger to others, unless it was that, then she should be brought back home. And you see, that's proof that marijuana usage is still relative. It's subjective. It's not considered good or bad because some places it's legal and then some places it's not legal. Like I heard in Jamaica, you can get it outside of the airport, but other places like Cuba and in this case Russia, they're very strict about stuff like that. And it's not like she did something universally wrong or illegal like murder, something that's undoubtedly illegal. And with cannabis, I do think by her being a professional basketball star, a player of her stature, she could have been using that for pain issues. And some people use hash oil not just for euphoria, but to take care of nausea, pain, and inflammation. Treating pain because it ain't always for recreational usage. But we're looking at it like, oh, she's bad. She done something wrong. She did this. She did that. Because it's no different than finding a gun in someone's home. Someone who's a responsible, law-abiding citizen. Just because you found that gun in their home, it doesn't make them a robber, a gangster, or a killer. They could be owning a gun for home safety and protection. So she doesn't deserve to go to prison for 10 years in Russia over some freaking vape canisters with cannabis oil because, I mean, the punishment just doesn't fit the crime. And I don't even think it's even about the vape cart. It's just the principle of it, the fact that she broke the law in their country and her wanting sympathy for it. And that's really what it is. And the real reason why she's in trouble, I think, is because Russia's government is being overrun by oppressive conservatives. And they're only doing that because they know there's a lot of money to be made off those marijuana sentences. Because if they legalize marijuana in Russia, though it'll help their economy, but money will be taken away from law enforcement and prisons. And they know marijuana is popular amongst people. Most people use it. Even a lot of Russians use it on the low because it has a large cultural base. And with her, it could have been exaggerated because, I heard that it was only a tiny bit of residue oil inside that vape carb, so it could have been exaggerated, like the amount of marijuana she had. And I'm not condoning what Brittany did because that still doesn't take away the fact that she still broke the law, whether she intentionally did it or not, because that's a serious offense down there in a country which is very conservative, especially when it comes to cannabis policies. She still violated their laws, and it's possible that she might have thought, just because she played women's basketball, she didn't have to worry about following the laws in countries that she's a guest of, and she didn't care, and it backfired. But she didn't commit a crime, and I think the least Russia could have done was ban her from the country and send her back here to the U.S. where she wouldn't be playing professional basketball in Russia, so she wouldn't be making that increased salary. Not instead of having her in prison in Russia, another country, for 10 years. And and we talk about America, but these are situations where it sort of makes you appreciate America a little bit more. I mean, I know America ain't perfect with all the racism and shit like that, and how Brittany was against America refusing to stand for the national anthem, which I can respect. I'm not against that. But when things like this happen, it's like it makes America seem more patriotic now, because now it's like she wants the U.S. to come save her. And she may have a change of heart if she's brought back, and after experiencing a communist country. And I bet that salary that she was complaining about doesn't sound too bad now. But she doesn't deserve to go to prison. If she does get time in prison, I think they should just reduce it to 2 years at least. I think 10 years is a bit too much. And we all can have our opinions. Most people think that she should stay in prison in Russia, and some people think that she should be brought back home. But at the end of the day, Russia's not our country, and they're going to do whatever they want to do. It is what it is. But I really do hope they bring her back and she learns a lesson, as well as other prisoners in Russia who's been arrested for the same thing. I think they should be released too, especially U.S. citizens who weren't trafficking it or selling it. They should be released as well, just as long as they were responsible and were using it for personal uses. Is only fair, because nobody should be separated from their loved ones or be stuck in a foreign prison like Russia if they weren't a danger or a threat to other people as well as the country. But that's all I want to say, folks. This is Big Brother 749 signing out. I'm out. Peace.